Your schedule is full, you're working with clients, but the income still doesn't feel consistent. Weird. And the way things are running right now, it almost feels impossible to scale your business to 5 figure months. Most service providers assume that means they need more visibility, more content, more platforms. But most of the time, that's not actually the problem. There are usually a few patterns happening inside the business that make it feel harder than it should. And when you see them, it becomes much easier to simplify how to run your business. Let's simplify this. In my experience working with hundreds of service providers who want more consistent cash and clients, these patterns tend to show up again and again. And most of the time, they come down to three things. The first is chasing more visibility instead of understanding where clients are actually coming from. The second is confusing more access with better results. And the third is when your schedule slowly fills up because the business was never intentionally designed. So let's walk through those three patterns. Pattern one, chasing visibility instead of understanding buyer behavior. The first pattern usually shows up when leads start feeling inconsistent. So the instinct is to chase more visibility, more platforms, more content, more lives. But it feels like the answer must be more reach. But most of the time, the real issue isn't visibility, it's understanding how people actually move from interest to becoming a client. For example, I had a client tell me, I know I can convert people when I talk to them, when I get them just face to face. I just need more leads. So we stepped back and looked at where her current clients were actually coming from. And what we noticed was that most of them followed the same path. They'd find her, watch for a while, and then eventually book a call. Once we've clarified that path and strengthened the messaging along it, she didn't need more platforms or more activity. We simply added fuel to the system that was already working. So here's what to look at. Instead of asking, how do I get more visibility? Ask yourself, where are my current clients actually coming from and what made them decide to reach out? If you don't know the answer, start asking your clients. Literally go back to current and past clients and ask them, how did you find me? Do you remember what made you reach out? Some people won't remember exactly, and that's totally okay. But those conversations almost always reveal patterns about what's actually working in your lead system. And that tells you where your time is best spent. But once clients start coming in, something else usually starts to happen, and that leads to the second pattern. Pattern number two, confusing more access with better results. The second pattern usually shows up once clients start coming in because you genuinely want them to succeed. So you start making yourself more available, more calls, more support, more check-ins. And in the moment, it feels small. It's just a few extra minutes. It's just another quick call. But over time, those small additions start filling your schedule along with the clients that are also filling your schedule. And the offer slowly becomes harder to scale, not because the offer is bad, but because the boundaries around how it works aren't fully defined yet. And when those boundaries aren't clear, something very predictable happens. Your schedule slowly starts filling itself in, which leads to the third pattern. Pattern three, your schedule was never designed. The third pattern shows up when your schedule starts filling up, but the income still isn't consistent. You're serving clients, you're answering messages, you're creating content, you're trying to keep marketing going. And on top of that, life always tends to throw in a wrench or two in the middle of all of your productivity. So eventually you hit a moment where you think, how am I supposed to scale this? Because the way you're working right now feels impossible to maintain long term. And this is actually something I ran into in my own business. At one point, I had a course, live calls, group support, a community, content, all the things that were supposed to help clients succeed. But what I realized was that I was spending more time maintaining the system than my clients were spending implementing the work. I also noticed that after every session, they had more questions and had to wait to get those questions answered later on next week. When I really looked at how my time was being used, it became pretty clear that the way I had structured my services just wasn't sustainable for myself, my business, or my clients. So I stepped back and started asking different questions. Not how can I add more support, but how should this business actually run? When am I available to clients? How do I deliver support? And where does my time actually need to go? Because running a business isn't just serving clients. You're also bringing in new clients, managing your business, handling finances, building systems, and oh, yeah, living your life. That's exactly why my consulting is structured the way it is today. I work with clients primarily through Voxer one on one. It allows us to communicate clearly, think through decisions, and keep momentum moving while they're actually implementing in their business. Instead of spending hours on Zoom calls, my clients can ask questions as they work, and I can respond thoughtfully when I'm focused and able to give them a clear answer to keep that momentum going for my clients. It creates support that fits into real life, not just another block of time on the calendar. So here's what to look at. If your schedule feels full, but your income still isn't consistent, this is a good place to step back and ask, have I actually designed how my offer fits my life, or did my schedule just slowly fill itself in? Because when your offer is designed intentionally, your time starts working for you instead of against you. At the end of the day, building a business that creates consistent cash and clients isn't about doing more. It's about designing the business so it actually works for you. So if your schedule feels full, but income still feels inconsistent, it's usually a sign that something in the structure of the business just needs to be simplified. So if you're at the point where you're ready to actually design the structure of your business so it supports consistent clients without taking over your entire schedule, you can learn more about working with me inside the Cash and Clients Without Chaos program. The link is down there in the description, or stick around and watch another video YouTube thinks you should watch.